A split-second swerve, a big fat tree, and two Baldwin brothers standing in the rain, shaken, but absolutely alive. That's where this story begins. But what unfolded before that impact, and everything that came after, reveals a week that flipped from red carpets and applause to crumpled, metal and relief in a heartbeat. It started with Alec Baldwin behind the wheel of his wife Hilaria's Range Rover, cruising a quiet East Hampton neighborhood on a wet morning. He says a garbage truck the size of a whale cut him off. Reflex meets instinct. He yanks the steering wheel to avoid a collision, and the SUV meets a tree head-on. In his own words later, "I'm fine. Steven's fine. The car is pretty smashed up." If that sounds simple, it wasn't. It was one of those moments that changes your entire day in a single blink, and it proves something the Baldwins already know too well. The line between normal and not is razor thin. But here's where the story twists, because the cameras were there. Not rolling on a movie set, but out in the drizzle, capturing the aftermath. Alec on the phone, Steven nearby, police on the scene, a front end folded like a paper fan. No sirens screaming through Manhattan, no spectacle for the sake of it. Just rain, real life, and the kind of silence you only hear after a scare. And then relief. No injuries, no citations. Just an expensive reminder that luck and quick reflexes can still win the day. Still, if you know the Baldwins, you know they don't live in single headlines. Even as Alec spoke straight to camera to say he was okay, he folded in something else. A message to Hilaria. "I'm so proud of you. I love you." That wasn't random. Just days earlier, she'd been eliminated from Dancing with the Stars, and she'd gone live to say the online swarm had gotten vicious. "I was bullied off," she said, pointing to the constant drag of social media snark. Whether you agreed, disagreed, or just kept scrolling, the timing cut deep. One minute, she's handling the fallout of a ballroom exit. The next, her car is totaled and her husband and brother-in-law are thanking officers in the rain. Sometimes life writes its own crosscut. And Steven, the baby of the Baldwin boys, did what plenty of people do after a scare. He went to get a burger. All-American hamburger drive-in, masa piqua. A simple order, fries, drink, the works. It read like a pressure valve hissing open. You stare down the what-ifs, and then you bite into something greasy and hot. And remember you're still here. For a family that's lived more public extremes than most, that little post-crash detour was refreshingly human. So why were the brothers out there together in the first place? That part of the story is quieter and honestly kind of sweet. The Hamptons International Film Festival had just wrapped them into the swirl. Panels, photo ops, conversations, and a push to spotlight Steven's podcast. One bad movie. It's not just any family vanity project. It's the youngest Baldwin exploring cinema's great misfires and misunderstood gems, with big bro energy popping in from time to time. Alec chiming in on episodes. The brothers sharing that unmistakable Baldwin rhythm. They grew up together fighting over cereal and basketballs. Now they're talking plot holes and what could have beens. The through line is brotherhood, and that's what makes the crash sting and soothe at the same time. Imagine you're standing with your kid brother in the rain, both of you safe by inches. It reframes your entire week. That's the part people feel when they see Alec's follow-up. "I'm going to LA to see my family." Not a press tour, not a legal briefing. Family. Carmen, Rafael, Leonardo, Romeo, Eduardo, Maria Lucia, Hilaria. 7 little reasons to board a plane and count your blessings at 35,000 feet. And beyond that, Ireland, the daughter he shares with Kim Basinger, now a mother herself. A new generation that means the Baldwin family tree has deeper roots than any roadside oak. But let's not pretend the internet didn't do what the internet does. Relief that nobody was hurt? Absolutely. Then the questions. Was he distracted? Was speed a factor? People online can turn a wobble into a wildfire with 2 sentences and a shrug. And just like that, speculation swirls. Here's the reality check the brothers kept returning to. No one was injured, police handled the scene, and the story here is luck meeting caution. Everything else? Rumors suggest, fans speculate, sources claim that chorus always warms up when your last name is Baldwin. Mark it as unverified. Keep it moving. Still, the crash pulls on threads that are impossible to ignore. The Baldwins are woven into American pop culture in a way that feels both oversized and familiar, like a neighborhood that somehow stretches across the entire country. There's Alec, the eldest brother and two-time Emmy winner who turned sarcasm into an art form on 30 Rock. Daniel, the gravel-voiced presence who seems born to play the guy who knows something nobody else does. Billy, the leading man with a soft center and a steel jawline. Stephen, the youngest, the one with a streak of mischief who didn't just ride the family wave, he learned how to swim in it. Two sisters, Elizabeth Beth Baldwin Kukler and Jane Baldwin Sasso, bookend the boys with their own lives, their own legacies, and a mother whose long fight against cancer birthed a foundation and a fierce second act. The family is big, messy, real, and when a car meets a tree and everyone walks away, the math of that clan, siblings, cousins, grandbabies, makes "We're okay" ring like church bells. Look closer, and the week reads like a pileup of headlines that, weirdly, still add up to one thing: resilience. Hilaria takes a hit online, shrugs, says her piece, and gets on with her day. Stephen grabs a burger and moves on. Alex says thank you to the cops and starts planning a cross-country hug. The Hamptons festival fades in the rearview and a family recenters itself. The world keeps streaming, scrolling, and dunking, because the world always does. But inside the Baldwin story, there's this quieter beat. Reset. Now, about that rainy road. Wet pavement turns a neighborhood corner into a physics class. A heavy truck cuts across your lane. Your brain does the math in a millisecond. Foot to brake. Hands to wheel. In that instant, you don't worry about headlines. You worry about the person in the passenger seat, the stranger in the crosswalk, the kids back home. The SUV buckles. The airbags roar out like punchy parachutes. And then the silence. It's not a Hollywood stunt. It's an everyday miracle. The kind that never trends for long because nothing bad happened doesn't stick to the algorithm. But in a life full of lights and microphones, getting to say "I'm fine" is the rarest kind of win. Meanwhile, the podcast marches on. One bad movie has this playful reverence for fiascos, those projects that spent millions to miss the mark by a mile. It's cheeky, sure, but it's also affectionate. There's a grace in how Stephen talks about failure, like he's reminding all of us that a flop doesn't erase the effort, or the vision, or the weird spark that made someone say, "Let's try." If you listen closely, that's not just a show about movies. That's a way to live. The Baldwin brothers know peaks and valleys. They've seen scripts that soared and stories that sank. What matters is the next take. And yes, the family tree keeps sprawling. Ireland Baldwin, born of the Baldwin-Basinger chapter, stepping into motherhood. Haley Baldwin stepping into Bieber while staying intensely herself, navigating that name change with deliberate calm. A baby, Jack Blues Bieber, arriving and cracking open a new branch of the family story. Billy talks about his son Vance's fight with cancer, 28 rounds, a marathon of grit, and the pride that pours out of him is contagious. You watch this clan long enough and a pattern appears. Chaos comes. Family answers. So when Alex says, "Can't wait to gather my family," it isn't just travel plans. It's a thesis statement. It's the glue. It's also a reminder that fame might be a megaphone, but it's not a safety net. Trees don't care about IMDb pages. Rain doesn't check blue check marks. You either walk away or you don't. And when you do, you thank the timing, the breaks, the angle of impact, the invisible luck that keeps a story from turning into something darker. You think about your father gone too young. You think about your mother's decades of fight. You think about your brothers and sisters and the decades of inside jokes that still make holidays loud and familiar. You think about 7 pairs of eyes waiting in Los Angeles, and you book the next flight. Now let's talk about that online split, because every Baldwin headline pulls people into camps. On one side, empathy. Car accidents shake you to your core, even when you're not hurt. On the other, the professional doubters, the ones who treat every public figure's story like a pitch they're not buying. The truth sits boringly in the middle. A truck, a swerve, a tree. Rumors suggest 1,000 alternate explanations, but they're just that, rumors. Reports claim there could be more dashcam footage. Fans online are speculating about the exact sequence of events. Maybe that clip surfaces. Maybe it doesn't. The only fact that matters? 2 brothers walked away. You can feel the tonal whiplash in that week's timeline. Festival smiles on Sunday, collision on Monday morning, Instagram reassurance on Monday afternoon, burger run by dinner, and a flight west to cap it off. Life doesn't always deliver clean acts with fades to black. It smashes the scenes together and dares you to keep your balance. The Baldwins have learned to keep their feet under them, even when it's slick. And Hilaria, since we're here, has carried her own strange spotlight for years now. She steps into a dance show, stays 4 weeks, and leaves with a story about the weight of online cruelty, about how a joke can grow fangs when you feed it enough shares. Whether you think she danced enough, smiled enough, took criticism well enough, none of it changes the calculus of a family gathering after a scare. She lost a competition. Her SUV lost a duel with a tree. She kept her husband. That's a scoreboard most people would take in a second. If this story has a moral, it's not written in legalese or PR language. It's simple. You think you're headed to lunch and you end up in the rain, heart-thumping, counting your luck. You think you're on a press schedule and you end up telling your family you're on your way home. You think your week will end with a trophy and a glittery after-party, and it ends with an insurance call and a quiet night to regroup. It's not glamorous. It's not cinematic. It's just real. And yet, the cinematic finds a way in. The Baldwin brothers as a unit are a kind of American saga, decades deep. 4 boys, 2 girls, a father gone too soon, a mother who turned survival into service, spouses and exes and reconciliations, kids and grandkids and careers that zig where most zag. The camera loves them because there's always movement. They fight, they work, they crash, they recover, they keep talking. Brothers. It's real. So where does this go next? Maybe nowhere. Maybe the car goes to a body shop. The insurance adjuster shakes their head at the bill, and that's the entire epilogue. Or maybe it becomes the kind of story that reappears in interviews years from now. Remember that morning with the truck and the tree? Either way, it sits in the Baldwin archive alongside the wins and the weirdness as proof that life keeps rolling no matter how many close calls you collect. Before we close, let's widen the lens one last time. You can measure a moment like this by the damage, or by the pivot. The Baldwin pivot this time is pure family. Alec goes west to hug the kids a little too long. Stephen keeps talking movies that missed. Maybe a touch more grateful that his own plot thread didn't cut hard to black. Hilaria resets, quieter but not silent. A little bruised by the ballroom and the comment sections, but still moving. Billy checks in. Daniel checks in. The sisters check in. Group chats light up. Flights are booked. Burgers are ordered. And somewhere in the midst of all that, a thought lands. If this was the near miss, what do we do with the time it gave us? 2 brothers, 1 tree. 0 injuries. That's the headline. But the real story isn't in the bend of a fender. It's in the choice that follows. Do you turn a scare into a footnote or a reset? The Baldwins seem to know their answer. And maybe that's the part worth remembering long after the raindrops on that Hamptons road are gone.